Hello, welcome to my channel. I am here to give a prophetic word given during the summertime around July, August 2024. And this word you're going to want to hear because these are the first, you could say, first steps to understanding how ordained marriages by the Most High are conducted. This is the season of birthing marriages that are made in Yah's hands. Okay? They were specifically created for one another, is what I'm understanding of late. And I'm understanding that due to the word Laqach or lāqaḥ. And this is a Hebrew word given to me just yesterday, and we are now in the month of January. And it has a lot to do with the word to come, to arrive, to marry. Okay, and so it has a lot to do with how Adam and Eve were created, and she was created for him as a helper and as a warrior, as a supporter, as a someone that will provide love and affection. But besides that, it spoke specifically regarding how she was created. And she was created from one of the ribs, right underneath the arm, one of the ribs of Adam. So he was put in a deep sleep. And in order for you to understand how this is evolving for some of you, you need to understand how important it is to be in the right alignment, but the reason why Yahuah is doing this. So we go back to Genesis, why he then created a helper. It speaks about there was first Yahuah sent all the animals to Adam so that he could name each one. And there's more to that, because if you can understand that none of the animals were the right companion, and all the animals of the world, none were the right companion for him. So what Yahuah did was provide one specifically for Adam, that was of his own bone and flesh. Okay, that's key right there. If they're from their own bone and flesh, how would he even have the chance to reject? He cannot, because it's of his. Eve was made of his own bone and flesh while he was asleep. He put him in a deep sleep. Obviously, he didn't feel any pain, obviously. So in that sense, it has a lot to do with Yahuah's hands. His hands, obviously, he is doing a supernatural and creating another human being. But he didn't just create it from dirt from the side under a tree. Okay, he didn't create it dirt or sand from the ocean. He didn't create it this woman like on just random dirt, not even in the Garden of Eden. He created the exact material from the actual ordained spouse that she was going to have. I hope this makes sense. Please, may Yahuah open your eyes to see and your ears to hear. It is a very special union. That means it is incredibly meant to be. So you were born for one another. Okay, you were made specifically for him so that he can complete his calling. He needs you to complete his calling for what Yahuah has planned for him. He cannot complete it without you in it. I hope this is resonating with some of you. I pray that it is, because it is exciting for many of you. Okay, so the dream that I had, which was around June through August of 2024, was there was this woman, and she went to a friend's house, and that friend's house was a mansion, literally. And so she was there visiting her. They've been friends for quite some time, but that friend of hers had a brother, and that same brother, long ago, the brother and this woman are around the same age. Okay, they're around the same age. Now, long ago, there was a scenario that she recalls, which it will evolve into the story dream that I'm telling you. And so there she is, and she I've had this dream many times now. Not the same one. This one was different. But I've had this dream regarding these individuals in this house. And this woman always came to the house to help them find the treasure. Help them find the treasure, okay? Okay. So what happened was, she's just hanging out there helping her friend fix up this carousel that her friend is making for her other friend's wedding. And it's so elaborate. It's so intricate. She's very creative and a phenomenal artist. So there she's watching her and assisting her with any little detail. And then the father of the house comes in and says, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then she says, "I'm fine." And so this woman is just chatting away. And then she happened to say, "Oh, I remember this embarrassing story with your son." And he's like, "Tell me about it." So then she goes on and says, "When we were really young, first grade, okay, we, she says, we were in the playground, and suddenly he comes up with a friend and says, meet us under the cover in the playground. We have something to tell you." And so she was with a friend as well, okay? And so these two girls look at each other, and then, or herself and the friend look at each other, and then they go over and meet these boys under the cover. It's a large area, and it's open on three sides. Okay, and so they go there. And when they get there, these boys say, "Okay, close your eyes." And so then, they think, okay, what's gonna happen, And so they close their eyes, and so they're like, okay, open them. And they sound really excited. And she says, your son then has his one knee down and with a bouquet of dandelions, and he says, will you marry me? And so she's kind of laughing, and he's kind of smiling, chuckling, and being like, oh, okay, that's funny, you know? She's like, it was just funny. And he's like, and then she said no, or I said no, and then my friend, she said no to the other guy. And then that other guy's like, okay, well, if you said no to him, will you marry me? I feel like that's key right there, what this dream is trying to say. Besides that, the individual, the son that was of the father that was trying to ask this woman, proposing, right? Marriage, even though they're little kids, kids play sometimes. They had similar names. So this woman that I saw in the dream had similar names. Like, what you could say, Christina and Christopher, something along the lines, an example. Okay, so it sort of sounded similar. So that's why he wanted to marry her, because the name was the same. I feel like that's key right there, okay? That's pivotal as well. So she was like all in shock and being like, no, I don't want to, because she said she was only like 6 years old. Of course she doesn't want to marry someone. She's thinking like in real life. And of course he was probably thinking in real life, because he does want to marry her. So then he's like, fine, if you don't want to marry me, then I will chase you forever in the playground. And so then both girls get up and they get shocked, of that last detail, and they run away from these boys, right? And they do chase them for a while. Okay, and so life evolved, and now this woman is an adult, what I can see, and what happened was the father's like, oh my goodness, you should tell him that story and remind him. And she's like, no, that's embarrassing. I'm not going to bring up that story. That's so embarrassing. I don't know if he'll remember. Of course he'll remember. Okay, of course he's going to remember. So then she goes and tells him that she wants to tell him something. And he's like, she doesn't go and tell him something. She doesn't know how to say it. The way she tells him is, the father's like, here, give him this plant it in his garden, and that's how he'll remember. And she's like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And his garden is, and he pointed, it's right over there. So then she goes and she plants this rare white leaf plant. Okay? And plants it in his little garden, because apparently the family, everybody had their own little section of a garden bed where they would plant their own things. But then what happened was, as she was planting it, that the son of the father, and the brother of her friend, this other woman comes into the picture, and it seems like maybe that's the fiance or the girlfriend. And so she's like, oh my gosh, this is so inappropriate. I'm not gonna say this story. I don't even want to plant this plant here. So she digs out the plant. Okay? And then they're in the garage now. She happens to run into something, and all these wood panels, they fall. And that son also had a friend there. And so she needed help picking all that stuff up. Now it was way too heavy. And there he was going to pick it up. And a sister to help her. And while they were in the garage, everybody, the son of the father, which was the guy that she knew from before, states, what do you think about, what comes into mind when someone kisses someone on the nose. And then she's like, no, everybody else is just busy. And she's the one that responds. She's like, oh, it's kind of an endearment. It's kind of something that is tender and innocent, you know, someone that cares about that person. And so then it's time to go, and she's about to leave, and he goes towards her and says, do you want to meet another day so we could chat more about the kiss on the nose? And so she's like, yeah, we could talk about that. And the dream ended. Now, I want to talk about what happened regarding they have the same name, a similar name, the female name version of the male version of that name, okay? Now, it's not necessarily all the Christophers and all the Christinas. I'm talking about, in general, of the same name. There's something that Yahuah is having me focus, and he's saying, Yah, and he's talking about his name and my name. So he's saying, my children are in my name. And so he is putting a man and a woman, specifically the exact woman, the exact Eve for the Adam, that are in his name that he created for each other. They have the same name, similar, but in real life you may not have the same name, but he who lives in you is of the same name, and that is Yahusha, the Savior. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And then the piece where the other boy wanted to marry her as well, if she said no to that one guy, that one little boy. So first of all, it was ordained as of before the womb. Okay, even as of childhood, he's been prepping you for this individual. He's been prepping him for you. But besides that, the other detail is you are very desirable, and anybody would be very lucky. So you should feel worthy, that even the friend even saw how valuable you were, even at age 6. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out, that doesn't matter your circumstance, you are a princess diamond of the Most High, and he has you in his hands. And this is the year of 5785, Hebraic year, and Yahuah's hands are upon the ordained spouses. Now, this is the first chapter. I want you to watch the sequel. Okay, and it's going to have a plant, like a pinkish white plant on the display there. So stay tuned, because there's going to be more prophetic word regarding these prophetic dreams and visions I've received in this time frame, in this dimension of time, that this is in real life, real time, 2025, going into the future, that it's all evolving. It's been on earth as it is in heaven. It's already been established in heaven. Now it's becoming real life scenarios, real life unions on earth. Hallelujah.